Well, howdy, brothers and sisters, all of you out there that love life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Freedom Outlaw here on Father's Day. And I want to just give a shout out to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. One of my daughters called me this morning and said, "Happy Father's Day, Dad." And I said, "Okay, thank you." I said, I'm your father every day. Anyway, I got to thinking, some of this stuff starts bouncing around in my gray matter, so I just want to share it with you. I finally did some research, so I've come to some kind of understanding. But I was thinking this here recently, why do presidents have to build libraries? Why do they got to construct libraries? Of course, we all know, and I'm sure, at least I hope that there's some exemptions, but politicians are narcissistic megalomaniacs. They get drunk with the love of power and the love of money, the love of control. And it's always a library to this president and that president. But anyway, like I said, I did some research. And it's a place where they allow public access to, it's kind of like a museum to the president. They allow access to documents and artifacts and blah, 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 blah. And people can go in there and ooh and ah over their presidential idol. And I'm sure some do. So anyway, I thought, well, okay, it's like a museum to commemorate the president. Hoo-ha. But then I got to thinking, if I was president, and I'm not just talking here, if I were president, if they wanted to build a library of some sort, some kind of museum to my documents and artifacts and stuff like that, okay, but it's going to be back in the corner somewhere. And it's not going to look like some monument to me. Why? The president's just one man. Why would I want it to commemorate me? I'm not trying to pat myself on the back and become boastful and say something that's not true. But I'm not narcissistic. I'm certainly not a megalomaniac. I love to see people succeed. I love to help people succeed. I love to encourage people to succeed. I don't need the credit. Because a lot of things I say, I've learned from other people. Some of the adages that I use, I've read it from other people, but they inspired me. So I pass it along. Hopefully it'll inspire somebody else. But I was thinking, if I were president, okay, I'd have my little museum back in the corner somewhere. I'd also have one of the artifacts I'd have in there is some leather vests, my motorcycle, some guns, some knives, some of that kind of stuff. But I thought, no, it would commemorate we the people. I don't want a library to myself. I don't want a statue. Why do I need that? I'm one man, like I said, but I represent we the people in 50 states. Why not build something to we the people? And when you walk through the door of whatever I would construct, it would be very simple, very common. But when you walk through the door at the threshold there, above the threshold, it would commemorate we the people of the United States. And I was thinking, I'd like to see some artistic creation that would commemorate we the people of the United States and, have it placed in, I don't care, the front yard of the White House. Yeah. It totally sours me when I see these presidents, uh, you know, it's all about them. They're the big cheese. They're the big boss. Yeah, okay, whatever. So I would have things created that would represent we, the people of the United States. Then I was thinking about the White House. So I thought, why did they call it the White House? And then I did some more research because I like to research on my own. I like to think on my own. And when the White House was first constructed, they put this lime-based coating over the porous material at that time. And it was supposed to keep it from freezing and cracking. So it was a whitewash. So it was called the White House. And then other times it was called the President's House. And then it was called the President's Palace. And, different names bounce back and forth. And I think in the early 1900s, it was Theodore Roosevelt that finally officially called it the White House. That needs to be changed. I don't know what I would call it. Maybe the Freedom House, the Liberty House. I know one thing I would do. I would do a nationwide poll and get people's ideas of what the White House should be called. And then let them have some input and go from there. Somebody could come up with a fantastic name for the White House. I'm sick of calling it the White House. So anyway, I was just thinking about all these things. And then I had this other freedom outlaw idea. Because remember, our founders of this nation, our founding fathers, I don't know if they used these words back then, but to King George, our founding fathers were fugitives, renegades, outlaws, rebels. And so, he tried to wipe them out. Think about it. The War for Independence was 8 years and 3 or 4 months? He's trying to wipe them out. They were outlaws. So, I was thinking, oh yeah, and you know how they defeated the British? With muskets and cannons. Yeah, isn't that amazing? And this is before the Second Amendment was ratified, 8 years later? 1791? So they already knew the God-given right to keep and bear arms and defend their lives and their country. All the ratification of the Second Amendment was, all the Bill of Rights, but the Second Amendment in particular, all that was a reminder to the government, keep your political scumbag hands off of we the people. Tyrants. These tyrants that sit in government positions in our nation, they hate freedom. Well, they don't want you to have freedom. They want to have all the freedom in the world to make decisions for you. They think they're your boss. Yeah. They think they're the CEO. Well, they're not. They're absolutely not. They're criminals. They're corrupt. You can't tell me that a person coming into office making $175,000 a year, or even a president making $500,000 a year, by the time he gets out, he's a multi-millionaire. Somebody explain that to me. My money don't accumulate like that fast. They're all criminals. They're corrupt. They're evil. They're all about themselves. They don't care about us. And you know what? I don't care about them. If you say I'm not anti-government, I'm anti-corrupt criminal government. Because they don't do their job. They don't stand by their oath. So I'm not going to be their slave. Liberty or death. So in this gray matter up here, I was also thinking, if I was president of the United States, I'd roll up there in the lawn of the White House or the Liberty House or the Freedom House. I'd roll up on my motorcycle, step behind the podium to answer questions for the news or the journalists or give a little speech or whatever. And I'd be packing, absolutely. I'd have on a shoulder holster. Yeah. And if anybody said anything, I'd say, I don't understand your problem. This is America. We keep and bear arms. And I might be president of the United States, but I'm also part of we the people. Because I won't always be president. So I identify with we the people. And hey, by the way, I'd tell them, I'd say, by the way, I don't know if you have read it or you forgot or whatever, but it shall not be infringed. And I'd make it clear. So my voice would go all over the world. Yep, I've got a shoulder holster on. It's a reminder to let you know that we are Americans. We are true patriotic Americans. We don't care about your political party. What we care about is the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. That's what we care about. We don't care about some damn political party. And I represent that. I stand for that. I exemplify that. And if you don't like me carrying a gun, well, there's over 100 and something other nations you can go to if you want. And you're welcome to stay and enjoy our freedoms, or you can go somewhere else and live under a socialistic, communistic, fascist government. It's up to you. But don't try to take ours away. Not going to happen. See, that's the thing about freedom. If you don't want to carry a gun, if you don't want to keep and bear arms, don't. I'm not going to condemn you for it. I think it's unwise. I think you're forfeiting your right for some other ideology, some other influence, whatever. Or maybe you just don't like guns, and that's okay. That's okay. But those of us that do, don't condemn us either. When I was thinking about that, I thought about some of these people that think the Second Amendment was for hunting. They say, well, why do you need an AR-15 for hunting? Well, you don't need an AR-15 for hunting, but you can use it for something else. If you want to use it for hunting, it's okay. And I was thinking, what Second Amendment did they read? Where did they come up with it? A hunting right? A hunting privilege? I don't know. I don't know what goes on in those twisted brain cells of theirs. But I was thinking, when they read that, they must think it reads like this. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the securing of hunting rights, the right of the people to keep and bear hunting rifles shall not be infringed. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. And then I got to thinking of this. The one lady, the knife that was used to kill the one kid used the knife to kill the other kid. That's a big stink now. Well, the one lady says the knife wasn't a deadly weapon. I thought, what? What? Help me out here. So a non-deadly weapon caused a young kid to be dead. Huh. So in other words, if you drink water, you'll get thirsty. If you eat a meal, you'll get hungry. I don't even know if that makes any sense or not. Uh, so, uh, so a non-deadly object, we won't call it a weapon, a non-deadly object killed somebody, caused somebody to be dead. Whew. Wow, that's as bad as Kamala Harris's word salad. Whew, okay, well, my IQ, I guess, doesn't go that high to comprehend that. So anyway, I just wanted to share some of these ramblings with you. And I'm going to sign out for now and go and take a ride on my scooter. Hey, God bless. Later.